Hey, long time no see. I hope everyone had a great holiday and New Year. And 2020, we don't know her, okay? Um I am starting the new year with Procreate, which I've been loving. And I've been making a lot of spot illustrations for multiple things I'm in the works of creating right now. And I've gotten a lot of questions on like Instagram and TikTok and places like that about how I am doing these. So also I just thought it would be fun to like share tips and tricks about Procreate. It's such a cool app. I love it. So yeah, we're gonna get started on the rose leaves first. So we're going to get started and make a layer for the sketch. And this doesn't have to be perfect by any means. You just want to draw out the proportions first of the object you're creating. And it's going to be deleted later. It's just basically a guideline for you to put your base colors down onto. Then select the color that you want, and you can actually outline the object and then drag the color onto it in Procreate and just fill it in. But I didn't do that. I just drew it in. I don't know why, but I just decided to just manually draw it in and fill in the color and erase all the edges. Then I used the smudge tool and created the spiky little edges along the leaves. With this painting, with both of these paintings actually, I used the gouache brush that comes with Procreate, and I found it actually replicates my traditional artwork I create with actual gouache really well, so I was pretty happy with that. So after getting the shape I wanted, I started planning out the values and the colors. I chose like a green that's a lot more warm toned, and I blocked in the highlights this way and continued to use a very cool toned green and blocked in the halves of the leaves that are catching a lot more shadow. And then after doing that, I went into the areas of the leaves that are in between each of the veins, and they kind of like pop up and cast more shadows and ridges, and I just started blocking out colors in those sections. I also noticed that the veins reflected a lot of light, so I kept those areas lighter and I used a warmer toned green. Something I want to make a note of is if you're doing digital artwork and you really want it to look like a textured painting and you want it to have that same warmth and realness and life like feeling from a traditional painting, please avoid using the airbrush, like smooth brushes. It's not that you can't use them. I just noticed if you really like this sense of warmth and texture from traditional paintings, I highly suggest you try out the brushes that are a lot more textured, like the oil paint brushes, the gouache one, the fresco. I really suggest you try those out because it just adds a lot more depth, and it also helps you if you're a person who is likely going to try and overblend things like me. It really helps you refrain from doing that. And I think if you use a smooth brush, like the airbrush one, and you keep trying to blend things together, it's all going to become one massive blur, and you're not going to get the effect that you're looking for. It's hard to tell where I'm painting. It's a little difficult to see where the cursor is and all that, but right here I'm in the more detailed stage, and I'm using the darker cool toned green. I got like a teal dark green, and I am defining those shadows where all the curves are happening. And listen, I'm not going for hyper realism here. I'm taking a lot of creative liberties with this. I wanted the leaves to be a lot more cool toned. I wanted the shape to be a little bit different. You know, I made those changes as I started painting this piece, but what I'm going to be using this for, I want it to be very like tea set inspired, like those illustrations you see on tea sets. So I wanted this to be a lot more nostalgic feeling and a lot more textured and traditional rather than super smooth and digital looking, if that makes sense. I also made the choice of changing the color to be a lot more cool toned. I thought it would go well with the rest of the spot illustrations I'll be doing in the future with this project. So yeah. And now onto this flower. So at a first glance, you would think that this flower is black, but it is not. When you kind of unfocus your eyes a bit, you can see that it is actually a very dark wine color. So that is the base color that I chose to do. And then towards the light, where direct sunlight is hitting the petals, this iridescent purpley color reflects back, and there's a lot more blue in it. Oh my god, it is so pretty. So I'm just mapping out those colors as well as the green that creates a gradient towards the center. And after I do that, I went back in with a very dark, like burgundy color, almost black, and outlined the petals so that I don't have to keep relying on that crappy line art layer. Now, with the lighting in this photo and the nature of how petals react to different lighting, it's going to cause a lot of different color variations than you would think if you just stare at the picture and are like, it's a almost black flower. There's a lot more colors going on than you think when you really take a look at it. So, like I said earlier, the petals that are more towards the bottom that are catching direct sunlight, there's a lot more purples and blues going on, whereas the backlit petals on top are showing through the most transparent parts, like a lighter maroon color, almost like a muted fuchsia. I don't know. I feel like when I do these videos, I'm always trying to find the best way to describe a color, and I just butcher it. Using a smaller brush, still using the gouache brush, just smaller, I am blending together those colors I mapped out. And as you can see with how I am manipulating which color goes where, it really makes the lighting look different and more realistic. And as you can see, you can use the warmer tones and the cooler tones to create divots in the petals without even having to use black or white. it just further enhances the contrast and shading for you without muddying up the vibrancy. With a smaller brush, I am also going in with an almost black wine color, and I'm going around the edges of the petals because, one, in the reference photo, the petals naturally are darker around the edges, and two, I needed to create crisper shadows underneath each petal, so I'm just doing that. I also took the time to add a ring of red around the green gradient in the center because in the reference photo, the green kind of turns into the wine color again before it goes back to that purple. Oh my god, this is my favorite part. So at the very top where the petals are catching the light a lot, there's some super intense highlights going on. So I just went in with my brush using a very, very light purple color and created very crisp edges along those petals that are catching that light directly. I also, for the center, I tried using a stamping brush because I was too lazy to individually do the dots for the little thingies in the middle. I don't know what they're called. That didn't work, so I just wound up manually creating little circles in the middle and shaded every single one with a darker, like almost taupe green, and just used that as the shading color. Oh my god, and it's done. I love this flower so much. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, I'm done. Thanks for watching, you guys, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, man. And I'll see you next week. Bye!